Welcome and hello and hello and welcome. Welcome and hello and welcome. Welcome and hello. Hello and welcome. Welcome and hello. Welcome and hello. Hello and welcome, guys. Welcome and hello. Thank you for joining me on this very special edition of Un Poco Mas, the show where we give you just a little bit more. Today, I want to talk about my first love. Of course, we're not talking about cheeseburgers on this one, guys. We're talking about SOFI Technologies Incorporated, the stock that made me into the U-turder I am today. This is my second largest position. I say after Microsoft. I've said many times, Microsoft will always no, nothing's going to ever catch up to Microsoft. I started buying that stock in 1996. It was the first stock I ever bought. I think with my one of my first paychecks when I was working one of my three college jobs, and I've been buying ever since. And the stock just went absolutely nuts today. So, a huge tip of the cap to the management team at Microsoft. I mean, I feel like they're at least as good or on par with Noto and team at SoFi. And I mean, Tanner says, he's a total addressable market investor. You know, I consider myself I invest in growth. I consider myself a value investor because I try to find things that nobody else wants that are really undervalued and that are beaten down. I don't, usually try to buy into momentum, but it's just different philosophies. Some people try to ride the wave of momentum. I go through the painful process of trying to seek out the momentum before it actually happens. I'm looking for potential energy. The smart people are looking more for kinetic energy, but I've never been accused of being the sharpest bulb in the drawer or the the brightest tree in the fork or whatever the hell you want to say about it. But anyway, this earnings report was just, I mean, it exceeded expectations in so many ways. One of the things people aren't talking about are just the delinquencies just continuing to fall. Those peaked when management said they would peak. That was one of the last, vestiges of the dishonest turd tiny wing bears that have haunted this stock and stalked it, no pun intended, low these many years, pushing the stock down to completely irrational levels, in my opinion. But it's very easy to do that when a stock is just not making money. And SoFi is now finally starting to put some of these, this revenue growth down to the bottom line. No, it's been improving, and EBITDA has been improving. And those of us who understand, financials and growth understand that EBITDA is going to trickle down to the bottom line, but it could take like 4 to 6 quarters, to clear out a lot of these expenses. You reach this tipping point as a company where you built this brilliant business model. You invest extremely heavily in, foundational work, in companies, in integration. You just do the hard work. It's not sexy. It's not flashy. Nobody is like taking pictures of Vlad's gold card like they are, SoFi integrating Technesis and Galileo. It's just the type of work that just shareholders don't really respond to until it leads to revenues and profits. But trust me, that is around the corner. I mean, there was a big news site with Banco Nacion, or fairly large organization. They're coming on board the SoFi banking platform. They expect it's 10 more major accounts, I guess, through 2026. So what Chris Lapointe has been talking about for a long time is this very long, RFP and proof of concept. And, this process to bring a customer, even sign a customer, can take a couple of years. And then onboarding that customer and getting everything set up and transferring everything over from their old system, I imagine could take another couple of years. So you could be talking about, from the time you start doing, little swipe left and napkin math with a client, you could be talking 4 or 5 years, I would guess, before you're actually, realizing significant revenues from that relationship. But the great part is you're going to be realizing those revenues for decades and decades and decades to come. And that's what SoFi is. It's a brilliant business model. If you think about their philosophy, they're trying to engage with customers, build this positive brand so that customers stay with them for a lifetime, so they can maximize lifetime earnings from that member. They only have to acquire the member once. And SoFi is going to be selling them dozens and dozens of products over time, different insurance products, different. I'm saying SoFi is going to dominate the lending space, full stop, up and down, top to bottom. Noto wants it all. That's why they need money to grow. Not only to grow this fantastic tech stuff, the lending platform. I was reading, Steve's article, the big sexy, in any room the guy's in, he's usually the smartest guy in the room. But I did hit him, and he kind of hit himself because he's a critical thinker. He's a very intelligent guy. So very intelligent people kind of go back and, question themselves at times and are willing to, make adjustments. And I really respect that. He's talking about how last quarter he went from, sort of a strong buy to a buy because he was sort of getting, nervous about whether the tech side would become a headwind, rather than a benefit. And if they, paid all this money and it was just a, big boondoggle. And his article now that he came out with yesterday, it's on Seeking Alpha. I highly recommend Steve Fiorino's articles and his analysis of SoFi, because his analysis, again, was one of the things that originally gave me the confidence to continue to buy these extreme lows that were just scaring the hell out of me, making me need a new pair of shorts on the daily. But, with the help of, a trusted member of the clergy and Tanner and Steve and Stock Goat and Jimmy Chitwood, all the greats on, so the Great Stock Mo. I'd like to send a shout out to the Great Stock Mo, if I might. I think you're really going to like what he has for you. The man has cornered the unbranded black baseball cap game. Anyway, we all love the Great Stock Mo. But it was funny. He was like, buy Lucid at 8. The guy made some hilarious calls. But anyway, that's neither here nor there, guys. So I'm just going to go through this really quickly. I got a bunch of work to do today, guys, unfortunately. But I just bought some more SoFi almost symbolically. It wasn't a ton, but I paid over 3 times my average just because I think this stock is going to 45. I think this stock is going beyond 100 ultimately. So it's just do you rush in here and buy? And again, the other thing I wanted to touch on is I think everybody is just looking at this this money raise completely wrong. I think they're looking at this as a negative, and I'm looking at this and I'm saying, okay, April 7th, this stock was at $8.67. Last October, it was right around $7.50. And now today, only 3 months, almost 4 months after the stock was $8.67, institutions are buying all these shares at $20.85. Just because that's a little bit lower than the price this pumped to, it doesn't mean a damn thing. And if they thought this chart was going to collapse back down to here, back down to 17, 18, they wouldn't buy these shares at 21. So to me, this is exactly the opposite of what they're saying. This is an extremely bullish vote of confidence. And then you have Goldman on side. And if you're a financial company looking to grow into a major financial institution, a major power player, you want Goldman on side. Now, they have to compete with their very popular consumer banking product, Marcus. I mean, it's really smart to name your bank Marcus. It's like my freaking mortgage company just changed their name all of a sudden to Mr. Cooper. What the fuck is that? Who brands these? Maybe they should hire Anthony Noto to tell you how to build a brand. Unaided brand awareness reached 8.5%. They were coming off of like 1. It's impossible to build that number like that. It's so difficult. So difficult. Arduous. But guys, this chart is absolutely and guys, keep in mind, I didn't change anything. I don't go back and like draw these lines or adjust these lines to fit what I want them to fit. If the chart breaks down, the chart breaks down. I don't try to like break it back up. If it breaks bad, it breaks bad. I'm not Walter White. You're not Jesse Pinkman. Okay? Okay. And you're definitely no Gus Fring. A man who adjusts his tie properly even after he has his entire face blown off. It's a great scene. Great scene. I love me some Breaking Bad. Say my name. That's what you think of me, Skylar. I am the danger. I am the one who knocks. Yeah, no, they're shorting the hell out of CRISPR, Johnny, right? It just makes me want to buy more. I think people were asking me about prop. They're like, Iova, these stocks took big hits today, but I know what's going on behind those numbers, the data. Okay, it's shorting, but the longs are letting it go down. They have this tacit agreement not to push right then, let it go down. It's called a shakeout. They want the retail to dump at the bottom, sell the dip and smell the rip. Iova already has 83% institutional ownership. They're not going to dump on this stuff. They know better. Charlatan Capital or whatever just reiterated their $25 call. 25 strong buy. These calls are ridiculous. It's calling for an immediate 10x. But this comes right down today, finds support right on this beautiful trend line and just rips back up, back to 22. And this gap, I mean, this has basically already been filled. I mean, I don't view gaps having to be filled like one day to the next, or if you have this gap in the chart just from one day to the next, that's a gap. I mean, it filled this level, just back here on 718. So I don't think there's really any, it doesn't matter. This isn't one of those gaps that might look at the volume coming in. I mean, yesterday, 236 million, today, 181 million. That's all churn, guys. They're trying to fix the price. These shorts, and let me tell you why the shorts are desperate. Let me tell you why these shorts are desperate. Okay, look at the short position they have on SOFI. Okay, today they sold short an additional 1.4 million shares and borrowed an additional 7 million shares. Cost to borrow is still almost nothing because this is all BS. There's a lot of shares in demand. If they were charging a real rate, they would be charging at least over 1. Cost to borrow average 0.01. I mean, it's kind of fair because they're flooding the market with these shares. So, I mean, it's basically, this is not even a discount to the money. This is basically an at the market offering. I mean, this is just the price, the stock. 2085. Okay, that's right here. This is just where the stock was closing, on 715. It's just where the stock closed on 728. So that's probably, I don't know where it actually closed. Yeah, I guess it closed at 2102. So, I mean, the low was 2077. So they paid more than the low from just 2 days ago. And people are viewing this as bearish. I just don't get people. Smart money steps up and buys a shit ton of a stock in a block trade of SOFI at 21, and the stock was just at 8 a few months ago. And that's telling me market makers are voting this is going to, continue to push up off of this level. And you can see it building a base here, right at 21. You see that it's basing here, the lows here, basically 4 days in a row, comes back, another test today, and bounces back right off of this trend line. The other time it tested this trend line, 722. My trend line might bend, but they don't break. Once Danny Deals draws a line, price action's got to respect that line. Because I'm the portly prognosticator, okay? I'm Nostradamus. What are you guys' favorite names in sports? I love Carl Lester Crumpler, the law firm. Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis. Big fan of Festus McGeely. I like anybody named Festus, Gunsmoke. I think he had a lazy eye. I like people with lazy eyes, too. Like the guy from Midnight Oil. Wish I had a lazy eye. Probably could have got more chicks. Probably would have been better than being fat. Hey, is that a fat guy with a lazy eye? I don't think that would have been good, but you gotta pick your spots in life. I guess if I was going to wish for one thing, it wouldn't be having a lazy eye. I would certainly trade a lazy eye for being fat. Just wear sunglasses all the time. Try to look cool. Guys, I'm going to switch up the Canadian FinTech Mafia hat. I'm going to go to my SOFI Hawaii Bowl 2018. I was a plucky little nose guard on the winning side, coming in at 5'7", 435 pounds, running a little 28-second 40. Actually, they rolled me on the 40. Had a couple of the linebackers pushing me, just rolling me. Plus, it was downhill. Went out behind the bleachers, found a big hill, just rolled me down for 40 yards. Like, that's enough. 28 seconds. We got it. I don't think the recruiters are here today. Anybody looking for a 5'7" nose guard shaped like a beach ball? No, I'm not actually like 5'7". I'm 6 foot. I like to say I'm 6 foot, but I think I'm like 5'11" and 4/4. Add that shit up if you can. See if that makes any sense. But yeah, I'm just like, I'm in shock from the Microsoft. Yeah, I've just, like I said, that was the first stock I ever bought. I bought it because I worked in a bookstore and we were shipping so much Microsoft software when I was in college. I was just insane. Every time we'd ship one of those licenses for like 5 people for Office, it was like $2,000. And I was like, you're selling boxes full of air for $2,000. I guess I didn't really understand what went into making software and all that. I didn't really understand much. You know, I understood the physics of a fat guy doing a keg stand, and how somebody below, such as a young lady, could sustain a neck injury if she was not cognizant of the dangers. Like, basically, a fat guy doing a keg stand, you better have a qualified lumberjack on standby, because you don't know which way that thing's going to timber, and it's probably going to get ugly. You're going to have, like, 300 some odd pounds of man meat crashing down on you with a bunch of sweat and beer. Probably smells vaguely of urine. I don't know. Thank God, YouTube and TikTok and stuff weren't a thing. They'd have locked me up. It was like, this fat guy drinking. You see this video? This fat guy drinking? Yeah, go pick him up. We've seen enough. Yeah, lock him up. You can't lock up this fat guy just for being obnoxious. Oh, sure we can. First Amendment auditing hasn't even been developed yet. Guys, I'm taking off the SOFI Hawaii Bowl 2018 hat. I'm going with my main man, best wrench in the business, guys. You know who it is. You know him. You love him. The great Naughty Lurker, J Money, of course. I don't even know if J Money's here. I actually did text him. Oh, he's here. J Money is here. Thank God. Let's go. He's good. Swinging his big wrench around. Swinging it like it's his manhood. Just getting up in everybody's face. Just teabagging my audience with his huge wrench. Little twig and berries action from J Money. I bet you guys didn't think you were going to be teabagging Naughty Lurker during this episode. I don't mean to work blue, guys. I like to work like Jay Leno. Why do you want to offend anybody? I mean, you lose half your audience. I don't even spend any money. I just, I live on the money from doing stand-up. I don't even spend my TV money. I just have a collection of classic cars. You know what I mean? Anyway, my Jay Leno impression notwithstanding, I once actually did that impression for Jay Leno, like blacked out outside of the Comedy and Magic Club in Hermosa Beach, California. Let's just say he was not impressed. Didn't find it amusing at all. He was actually waiting for some steam-driven car or some shit that because he drive these cars, from, I guess, wherever he lives, like Bel Air or something, down to the beach and perform at the Comedy and Magic Club every single week. And at that time, I was living, about 10 feet from the Comedy and Magic Club. So I found myself drunkenly staggering around outside, talking to these A-list comedians and, doing my bits, doing my impressions. I do my Ray Romano impression for Ray Romano. I mean, all my impressions are terrible. Terrible. Like I said, whenever I did stand-up, I would get physically attacked by my audience. It's usually the women who would turn first, start throwing things, but the men weren't far behind. Oh, and the men, those fists. When you're just having a few too many cocktails and you get a bunch of angry patrons at an open mic just beating the living shit out of you in an alley, you've made some very, very poor life choices. I was pre-med for a while. I was pre-med for like a quarter. Those were the days. But let me tell you what I'm talking about with this short position. Short interest is still 127 million shares Shares on loan is only 78 million. Ipso facto, connect the dots, Pepe Silvia, this guy, they're naked short like 50 million shares. And I mean, I know some of them are short long. There's other things going on. You might have other shares that I'm not saying these numbers are perfect, but my point is the short just dropped off a cliff. This is a huge sign. You know, the short just went from 150 million to 127 million overnight. So that was one of the major shorts dropping out. I mean, I don't know who it was, but I could probably figure it out once I have some time to go back through the my paperwork. I'm doing my paperwork. Hey, what are you up to? I'm just doing my paperwork. Anyway, no, they did not have a valet at the Comedy Magic Club. They just let the comedians. He was the only one who really drove himself that I remember. But he just parked the car right out front, just left it there through his whole set. He would show up right before his set, do his set, and then you know, he would always sit around out front, like chit chat with people, talk about the car. Super nice guy. Like Jay's actually just one of those guys. I know he has his enemies list, and he, you know, get his back up. He can be a little bit prickly, but he's one of the really nice guys in showbiz. And so many people are just complete dicks. Like if you're a nobody, like I was, like I mean, I was less than a nobody. But if you're a nobody, you just in this industry, you just get treated, you know, like absolute shit. Not that this is the entertainment industry. This is YouTube. It's ridiculous. But trust me when I say when they're naked short, it puts a lot more pressure upward on the price when they have to go to cover. Because they basically have hat in hand. They don't have a pot to piss in. They're up a creek without a paddle. And now that Goldman's pushing, I mean, I think this is really, really, I think they got wind of this. I think that's why the stock, you know, sold off. But let's face it. I mean, if Robinhood or Palantir turned in this earnings report at this market cap, the stock would have like doubled, you know, day one. And then it would have 5x tomorrow. And then, you know, everybody would have been deified and, you know, sainted and knighted and everything else. They're going to knight Vlad and Karp, I'm sure, soon. This great hair, huge egos, disconnected from reality. No, they're tearing it up. I mean, but Palantir, the valuation's ridiculous. I mean, I don't know what to say. They're not growing revenues at any rate, at profit, much less profits justify anything. I mean, Hood, you got to take your hat off the hood. I mean, speaking of taking my hat off, let's go off the great not a lurker. Go back to the great Un Poco Moss, guys. It is Un Poco Moss, show where we give you just a little bit more. Thank you for tuning in. So yeah, so a lot of naked shorting there, and I think that's going to become very important. The other thing to look at is the volume. I mean, this was still trying to rally today. I mean, big time. And the shorts stepped on it. The price fixers stepped on it, but they didn't even drive it down below the trend line at all. So I think it's very problematic. Guys, I would go through this with you, but I know every YouTuber and their mother has done it already. The numbers were just extraordinary. And one of the things I said, when the incremental margins as the revenues grow, that's what's going to be shocking, because you have to cover all your fixed costs. Like I said, they did a ton of, you know, sort of nuts and bolts, meat and potatoes, not sexy foundational work that is going to set this business on the right course and give it an ultra solid foundation for decades and decades and decades to come. And another just thing, you guys remember like Lending Tree? You're supposed to go to this website. It's like, you know, and they basically place you with, I think SOFI is going to realize the potential, is going to realize the dream. You know, that was Lending Tree, whatever. It's just going to have a clearinghouse for loans, and they're going to own the market. And if you want volume, if you want to lend money, you're going to have to go kiss Anthony Noto's ring. You're going to teabag Noto, and you're going to give him an offering of a windbreaker. You're going to say, Anthony Noto, here is your windbreaker. May I have some loans? And he's going to go, adjusted EBITDA, bitch. Get off my jock. Okay, you can have a few loans. Ones we don't want from shitty borrowers. Because, I mean, let's face it, with this money raise, if there fits in SOFI's credit box, wish I had a credit box. I got a box with a bunch of shit in it I don't want to deal with. It's more like a junk drawer. But since I don't have no drawers, my junk drawer is a shoebox. Do you keep all your stuff outside your drawers? Are you technically freeballing? I don't know. That's neither here nor there. But anyway, I'm not going to go through this whole earnings slideshow, but it's just insane. 44% year on year top line growth. I mean, that's as good as anybody. And when you talk about the growth rate of the lending platform and financial services, and you realize that the fee-based revenues just continue to outpace any other growth SoFi's do. Those are high margin. That is tech valuation. I say tech valuation isn't good enough. Give me the tech valuation, then Anthony Noto should say, "Excuse me, sir, may I have some more?" However that thing went. How can you haven't eaten your pudding? So anyway, yeah, not a lurker never leaves. We keep him locked up in the basement here at the Un Poco Mas World headquarters. And you see just more and more things being added to the financial services loop. SoFi at Work, loan platform. I mean, you basically started out, and then they're going to own lending, financial services, but there's so much more that goes into this. They're going to own insurance. I see them going into healthcare. I see them going into automotive. I see them, everything people spend a lot of money on, SoFi is going to be there to take their cut, to wet their beak, just collect their vigorish. It's like Maury, like, I've never been charged 10 points. It's unreasonable. I won't pay. I'm like, what? I'll pay. That's why you had it ready. It's like, it's never bothered Jimmy. That's one thing we know. What's up, Ben Kahan? I assume they went out of business. Or got bought out. Yeah, Steven Zunker came out of the bunker, licked his ankles. That sounds pretty G-rated to me. What's up? Yeah, SoFi is more fly than other, my friend. I think SoFi actually in this run, I was saying it's going to run to 24.75. It already touched that level. I would revise that thing. I think it's going to run into the high 20s here and right away. I think these shorts see Goldman. They see all these, institutions buying all these shares at $20.85. And they're, dreams of a bologna sandwich or a KBW or some other phony bologna drop back to, 8 or 9 where they're going to cover and ride off on a white horse with the princess. It ain't going to happen, guys. You have to make decisions now and come to the realization that you were completely wrong about this company. And the narrative you bought into that they're in trouble and they're risky and they're going to default, it was a bunch of crap. And you should have been smarter than that, but you weren't. So SoFi short volume today, not huge, but one of the things to look at is the volume. Okay, so aggregate total volume was in the 20s and 30 millions. And then, yesterday 110, so it's like 4x. And then today 81. So, almost 3x the volume that you normally see. Take it with a grain of salt. A lot of this is just price fixing. To fix the price when there's a lot of buying pressure, they have to churn a ton of shares. So they're rigging the bid and the ask, and you have to just put a ton of shares on the order book to overwhelm the rest of the order book and drive that price down on these hammer candles. That's the only way it works. They try to fix the price at a time. They think there's not going to be much on the order book. They see their opportunity and they go for it. And they just sell a bunch of shares to themselves at a lower price than the market. It's like you see this all the time. Like, well, they can't fix the price in the bid and the ask. That would be illegal. Okay, Pollyanna. Put your rose-colored glasses on. These guys never break the law. They're never naked short either. That's illegal too. Or at least frowned upon. Might be like counting cards. It's not illegal. It's just frowned upon. Anyway, guys, another thing I just highly suggest you read if you're thinking about buying SoFi and you think it just doesn't have any more room to go from 20. It's got, in my opinion, plenty of room. But I would always read Stephen Fiorio, the big sexy. Looks like he got a haircut recently. He's got his patented shiny head. But anyway, SoFi delivered a triple beat. 43.7% year-on-year revenue growth, raised guidance, provided clarity on its technology platform. It's talking about, regulation, competition, execution as far as risks, tech, crypto. I think this is one of the least risky companies growing at this rate in the history of the freaking world. There's almost no risk here. It's surface water. They're going to continue to take market share from these big financial institutions because they give customers a better deal. It's more convenient. It's faster. It fits with these up and coming young people who, maybe they're not wealthy yet, but they're on their way to being wealthy and they have great careers and they want a financial services company that keeps up with them, that enhances their life, that gives them a better deal, that allows them, just frees them up to just do what they want and live their dreams. And SoFi is a dream. I mean, if you are not an options trader or something, like 99% of people, SoFi is the company you want to go to. I mean, it's just it. Goldman knows it. That's why they waved the white flag on Marcus. Remember when Apple and Marcus were going to put SoFi out of business? And Anthony Noto just, laughed. You could hear a mouse fart. He's like, oh, I'm really terrified. Anthony Noto and Goldman are like peas and carrots. And Goldman is the underwriter on this offering. So, I mean, Goldman knows where this is going. Goldman is one of the, market gods. They make a lot of money trading, but they make a lot of money on their like underwriting and, finance offering activities. They're one of the giants. You want something done with your company, you want a deal, you need to raise money. Top of the top, go to Goldman Sachs. Like Invest with Henry. Invest with Henry. The dude used to work for Goldman Sachs. He mentions that occasionally in his videos. But he's actually really good on options. This guy knows his shit inside and out. So people ask, where do you learn options? You go to Felix. Like I said, if you want to really learn to party hard in Monte Carlo with your golden retrievers, you go to Hard Nips Henry. He used to work for Goldman. Either one of those gentlemen would be absolutely fine. There's TJ the Wheel Deal. Again, wheel strategy to me is for something simple, safe, easy to understand. It's really the smartest thing you can do with options. But selling covered calls, kind of the core foundation of a wheel strategy. But so SoFi shattered analysts' expectations. 858 million, which was $53 million ahead of consensus. They were looking for 6 cents. They delivered 8 cents while raising full year guidance once again. It's kind of common with SoFi. Of course, they're always sandbagging. We always know that. They're AWS fintech. He was talking about how basically he sort of lost a little bit of faith in that AWS moniker, but since that faith by this ER was restored. So I had previously written articles, SoFi beginning of May, beat estimates and guidance, but predominantly constructive lending financial services, becoming less bullish on SoFi's valuation was a bit stretched because they were only getting, bank valuation because, the tech side everybody thought might have been just a big turd. I've discussed the need for management to discuss what's happening, technology platform, the overview of the RFP process for its cyberbank. SoFi shattered earnings, seeing 40% revenue growth, raised guidance, disclosed new deals for the cyberbank. I think that SoFi will continue to appreciate in value, and we could see a big run at the end of 2025 as Fed starts lower rates. Risks of investing in SoFi, there's a lot of competition, regulatory, reputation, black swan events, tiny wings, Shoeshine Boys, truck stop, all stars, and all the rest. And by the way, guys, if you have time, go ahead and run on home and grab your shine box. What could probably be SoFi's most important metrics are member and deposit growth. While these don't showcase profitability or revenue, it does display how products are being perceived. Yes, SoFi customers love SoFi and they love the products. The only thing that matters is where the members believe. SoFi just increased its membership growth 34% year on year, 846,000 new members. So they have 11 point. You guys just put it in context. I mean, they're growing the company. So they start out with under 11 million members, in the quarter, and now they're 11.75. So they're growing what, like 8%? I mean, it's not that much, but 7% in one quarter of the overall company. Think about it. That's why they're growing so fast. So this has led to a huge spike in deposits. SoFi's deposits increased by 2.28 billion in Q2, which isn't as high as it's been, but it's still pretty impressive in this rate. Which is in this environment where I think people spending debt is up and savings is down as far as I can tell, which is a growth rate of 8.30. He said it right there. 8.38% quarter on quarter and 28.45% year on year. More people are choosing to utilize SoFi for their financial needs. Being a digital native solution isn't deterring customers signing up for SoFi. Yeah, people still trust SoFi. They don't care about a branch. They don't want to go to a branch. They don't want to branch out. They're over it. SoFi's growth rate as revenue doesn't represent a traditional financial entity. They're still in hyper growth mode. The lending segment increased its net revenue by 34.5 million, 8% Q on Q, 107 million, and 31.78% year on year. Financial services have grown by 59 million. It's 20% quarter on quarter growth and 106% year on year growth. This has led SoFi to continuously beat quarterly estimates, even though the technology segment has only grown by 6.19% Q on Q and 15 point. That's better than it has been, actually. So SoFi has grown its net revenue by 100 million, 12%. Net revenue 12% quarter on quarter and 50% year on year. Exceeding a 50% net revenue growth rate year on year is incredible. Yeah. It's led to much larger contribution profits across the segments. Q2 2024, they generated a 284 million in contribution profit, which increased by 181 million, 64% year on year to 466 million. This was led by lending's contribution profit increase 23.63% year on year. Financial services contribution profit 240% year on year to 188. I mean, surface water, guys. Financial services, it's so easy to take market share. It's a highly profitable business. They can take market share from these mega banks and these giant financial institutions forever without having to drill. The customers, the water, the money is right on the surface. All you have to do is build the better mousetrap, which they've already done, and then go out and collect your money. Like an exotic dancer at the end of the thing, you gotta, you go pick up all those ones. I've been there, guys. Man Meat Tuesdays, Danny Deals. Problem with me is once I'm in a thong, thing just disappears. Where'd your thong go? Probably the same place as my testicles. You're going to need to do a little spelunking, boss. You want to get those twins back out. The old twig and berries. Anyway, great article. I'm not going to, go through the whole thing. I already read it. But essentially, if the big sexy went from buy to strong buy, you gotta buy. No, it's not financial advice. If you want financial advice, ask Payush. He's my financial advisor. Basically says load SoFi every single day. And they go over the tech, why he's more impressed with tech. They go over Banco Nación, which is one of Argentina's largest financial institutions. So this is the type of news we've been looking for. And SoFi has a lot of really good connections in Latin America. Selected SoFi's Cyberbank digital platform to modernize digital bank structure, participating in several large-scale RFPs, and that Wyndham Hotel and Resorts launched their first reward debit card on SoFi's technology. This is another really good business to get, fee-based revenue. These branded loyalty debit cards, a great business if you can make it work. A lot of the companies that do it are these podunk companies, FNBO, and some of these other sort of regional banks that are just basically doing it out of desperation. Guys, let me tell you something, okay? And I want to get my giant freaking head up here to emphasize this. Okay, what hat should I go to? I don't know. I'm going to keep this hat. Actually getting hot. I'm going to go to my high hairline. Guys, when I was young, oh no, it's reversing. When I was young, this mole was like in my hair. Okay. High hairline, shiny forehead, chubby U-turner. Oh, God. Guys, what I want to emphasize is Anthony Noto only negotiates and raises money from a position of strength. Okay? He doesn't go out and grovel when the stock is $4.50 or $5.20 and do some horrible dilutive money raise like, the Chia Pet said he was going to do. They're probably going to have to raise money. Why? Have you even looked at the books? You phony baloney cheese bag. You turd sandwich. You huge turd salad. Anyway. Noto negotiates and raises money when it's best for the company. Okay. And this stock was down $5 not long ago, $7 late last year, in the 8s just a few months ago in April. And big institutions just bought all these shares at $20.85, or they're going to, or I don't know if it's closed yet, but 6% dilution. If they weren't growing so fast, I would worry about a money raise. If a company's raising money, you can't just go, oh, they raised money. Bad. If they're raising money because they're in hyper growth and their business activities are hugely profitable and they're raising their profits exponentially over the next few years, you have to expect them to raise money. You say, well, why didn't they want to do another senior secured note? Why didn't they want? Because I don't think they want to take on debt when they can sell shares into the open market at, one of the strongest stock prices we've seen in this company in years. I mean, just reached all-time high. The fact is, they're paying the closing price from 3 days ago. Would any of these institutions buy these shares if they thought the stock was going to retrace to 12 or 15 or even 17? I mean, that would be paying 20% less. It wouldn't make any sense. The only reason they're buying these shares is because they believe it's undervalued at $20.85. I'm inclined to agree. I tend to agree. Why didn't I just concur? Anyway, I don't know. I don't really know what I'm talking about. But Steve is one of the guys who knows the most about SoFi, along with the rest of the Canadian FinTurd mafia. Crypto coming back, that's another very bullish. It's just free money. The Banco Nación with corporate banking, which has seen 25% increase in organic client growth, and they're going to unify their mobile and desktop banking systems next for over 10 million customers. The implementation at this scale could demonstrate to other banks how beneficial it could be for them to consider SoFi's banking platform. I'm very bullish about these 10 deals because some of them could be with large-scale clients that generate large amounts of recurring revenue that grows on an annual basis and paves the way for more deals in the future. SoFi is very much a tech company. It may be a tech company in waiting, but the point is, over the last 5 years, they've done all the hard foundational work to be that tech company, to make this fee-based revenue. And now we're realizing the fruits of Anthony Noto's labor. That's all you needed to do, was get your hands on Anthony Noto's fruits. Much of this episode has been, I think, unfortunately, won't even go there. I won't even go there. What's going on, guys? How's it going? Should have shown the comments up. I don't know why I still have my giant head up, my giant high hairline. Nobody wants to see that. So yeah, read this article. I don't know. This is just not for nothing. I mean, I'm not the biggest, slam kin or kin slam or whatever the fuck it's called. Can slim, but I'm not the biggest IBD devotee. I used to trade, do their swing trades for years, and I did pretty well, but it just got too formulaic for me. I was like, I want to find the fallen angels before they move. That's my obsession. So SoFi is ranked number 1 in its group, green all through, composite rating 99. And that's pretty hard to get out of IBD because they're looking at data and they're looking at what's happening with the stock. So, it's hard to get around Market Watch. I know what their stocks move the most, SoFi, so it's a bunch of crap. I don't know, Wall Street Journal, Lone Gunman, that was crazy. They shot up Blackstone. They were looking for the NFL. SoFi stock is full. Like, potential dilution could be to blame. It's just going over the deal. I mean, they're offering 72 million shares at $20.85, offering expected to close tomorrow, general corporate purposes. But their general corporate purposes are basically crushing it. Guys, Anthony Noto crushes more than Big Pun. So the fact that they're raising money at almost $21 a share to go ahead and put that money to work and make even more money, I have no problem with that. I have no problem with this money raise. Could it have been done better? I doubt it, because Anthony Noto knows what he's doing. I'd rather see this dilution money raise than just giving away the share-based compensation, stock-based compensation. So anyway, yeah, if this offering bothers you, maybe wait for a better price, but I just don't think you're going to get it because they bought at 21. If you think you're going to buy again at, 12 or 15, I think you're just barking up the wrong tree. I think this valuation is already too low. Should be trading at least 10x forward sales, in my opinion. They have to get paid for the growth. They have to get paid for the execution. They have to get paid for the fact that they've built a better model and their customers love that model. They've proven it. The growth is not going to stop. This is like a snowball rolling downhill. It's going to become an avalanche of profits Their business model is basically just a mirror of a a DCF model. So this lifetime, get the most lifetime profit from a customer. You're basically building a company to have the best, cash flows over the lifetime of the customer, over the lifetime of the company. It's a money press. Anthony Noto might be the smartest guy in the room, might not be the big sexy Steve Fiorio. But if you got those two guys in a room together, you might have to, call it a draw for smartest guy in the room. But no, yeah, I love the one thing I really like about Steve's articles is that they just go to the numbers. They focus on the facts. You can't, if you listen to his arguments, they're based on a very solid foundation of data. If you go through, the guy tracks so many banks, so many financial institutions. It's just, he's telling you, he just upgraded. Steve just upgraded. Oh, anyway, guys, I think I'm going to end it there. I got to do a few things, and then I'm going to try to get back with some more videos on some other stocks later. But SoFi for me, strong buy, still above 20. I think the stock's going to go up from here. I think smart money knows it, and I think the rest of us are going to find out. Guys, it's Un Poco Moss. I want to thank the great Nautilurk, the great Alberta Birdie Avilés. I'd like to thank, of course, the great Tortuga de Rio BW Star, and yeah. So, guys, I got to run, actually, and truth be told, I'm getting old and I have to pee. Thank you. Peace. I'm out. Poco Moss.